Okay, so just wanted to share a little bit. I thought about doing a blog, but didn't quite have the time. But like I've been reading Charlotte Gambill's Breathe devotional. It's just as raggedy as my Bible at this point, but whatever. Um, and I've been studying Hebrews, and so it talks about in Hebrews 12 and 15, and it convicted me about exercise foresight and be on the watch to look after one another, to see that no one falls back from and fails to secure God's grace, his unmerited favor, and spiritual blessing, in order that no root of resentment, rancor, bitterness, or hatred shoots forth and causes trouble and bitter torment, and the many become contaminated and defiled by it. So pretty much what's standing out to me is, we have our situations where we're misunderstood, and sometimes that misunderstanding leads to, those misunderstandings can lead to false accusations or just all kinds of assumptions. And what stood out to me and convicted me is just refusing to let bitterness take root in your heart. Just pressing past our feelings and doing what, God asks us to do. Who comes to mind for me is, Joseph, who was actually, a pretty decent dude. He was upstanding and all of that. And, when somebody told Pharaoh one thing, Pharaoh, was suddenly like, oh, you're not the guy I thought you were. And he imprisoned him. And so, that in real world, that would have ticked me off. And I probably would be inclined to defend myself even while in prison. But the thing is, when we misunderstand each other, we have to know that, and so like I was saying, what we have to understand about misunderstanding is going to be a frequent occurrence, whether that's between friends or enemies, is going to happen in life. We're all imperfect people. Sometimes we're going to agree to disagree. But what Charlotte Gambill said that really stood out to me, she said, misunderstanding can become a set of unspoken feelings that create an ocean of confusion and eventually strand people on an island called isolation. And I'm that person. When I feel misunderstood, I can kind of wash my hands with it or whomever or whatever situation and be like, I don't have to be around this. But misunderstanding is a sinister thing. We really have to be careful with it. And when we're being misunderstood, we have to make sure that we continue to be ourselves, continue to walk in integrity, try not to be vengeful. If you can seek understanding and come to an agreement or an agreement to disagree, then do that. And if you don't, you just don't. You don't understand each other. You just misunderstand. You don't have to live your life trying to prove yourself. Just live in integrity, walk in integrity, and your life will speak for itself. You know what I mean? Even with those false accusations that can result from misunderstanding, and, it may spread and people may hear things about you, but when they see you and how you live, that'll speak for itself. You know what I mean? You don't have to prove anything to anybody. Just live your life, live it in integrity, be who you are, and just let that work for you. And don't let that misunderstanding create gaps between you and God. Continue to do what he told you to do. That's the thing. Joseph continued to do what God told him to. And even in misunderstanding with people you love, I'm sorry, y'all, the lawn people are outside. It's probably loud. But even in misunderstanding with people that you love, that's okay. Whether that be your friend, your spouse, your sister, like me and my sister, Micah, shout out to Micah. We can fall out. We can misunderstand each other. And we don't allow that to create a gap, between us. Like, we won't let that misunderstanding just sit there and fester and allow us to be apart. Because here's the thing. We're all imperfect people, just trying to figure out this thing called life. And it's already hard enough. So, let's just close the gap. We're just all trying to figure out how to get along, how to live our best life, and follow and seek God. And that's what it's all about. And just don't miss out on people or places that are a part of where you are or should be a part of your future just because of misunderstanding.